Home sellers right now are making huge mistakes. And let's face it, the last few years, selling a house was a breeze. You put a sign in the front yard, you got a cash offer, or over asking offer, buyers waived home inspection, but that was then and this is now, and times are a-changing. And in some areas of the country, home prices have fallen nearly 10%. And I'm seeing sellers make a ton of mistakes. Overpricing the house, not staging, not doing minor repairs. And if you need to sell over the next few years, you're going to want to keep as much of that money in your pocket as possible. That is what I'm going to dig into today. So I was out earlier this year helping a friend buy a house, and we were looking at homes that had been on the market for a while. You know, these houses looked like the sellers decided with 2 days notice to put their house on the market. I think the sellers put the house on the market expecting, what would happen in 2021 to happen now, and now they're probably regretting their decisions or maybe wondering what to do. Maybe they don't know what to do. Maybe they're getting bad advice from their real estate agent. So the first mistake, the number one mistake that I see home sellers making is overpricing their home. And yes, during 2021, 2022, it seemed like you couldn't overprice, but yet there were still homes on the market that did not sell. The first thing about overpricing is you have to do your homework. Yes, your real estate agent should be providing you with current comparable properties and a good analysis, but you always have to do your homework. You always have to go and fact check that information. Go on Zillow, go on Redfin. I'm not saying that they're always right. Very often they're not. However, if you have 4 or 5 or 6 sources and your agent can't tell you why the Zillow, the Redfin numbers are significantly different than their numbers, then you've got a problem. It's something that you should definitely question. Just a quick side note on all those websites, those numbers, those values are all based on an algorithm. They've never been in your house. Whether you've done work, whether you haven't done work, you have a house that is completely updated versus a house that needs total rehab, those websites have no idea. They have no idea to know the difference between those two conditions of those properties, and that's where your real estate agent hopefully will guide you, but don't rely on those online numbers because they don't tell you the whole story. Now, when you price a house, there's a seasonality to pricing. The market does not go in a straight line. It's not the same price in January that it is in June, it is in December. There's an ebb and flow to the prices in a 12-month period. That's an ebb of prices always go up in the spring. They always kind of flatten out a little bit in the summer. There's a little bit of a bump in the fall, and then they drop during the winter months. And during the winter months, you're going to see, oh gosh, prices are crashing, prices are falling. A lot of it is just the seasonal downturn during the cooler months, during the holidays, which always comes around come February, March of the following year. And then it's the average of that year. Typical price average for a year on an average appreciation nationally over the last 50 years, about 4 to 5%. A common misconception with home sellers, and I've heard this a ton, is, we'll price it here, and we can always reduce the price later. The problem is that does not match up with when the buyers are most active. Studies have shown that the most amount of activity for a home buyer is in the first 2 to 3 weeks. If you overprice that house in the first 2 to 3 weeks, you are looking at a potentially stigmatized property because now you're in week 4, week 3, week 4, you want to reduce that price. Now the home buyers are saying, all these other homes are selling right away. This one didn't, and they reduced the price. What's wrong with that property? Is there a reason why these other buyers didn't buy that property? There must be something wrong. Time is not your friend when you have your house on the market. The longer it sits on the market, the bigger the distance between what it lists for and what it sells for. So you want to get that offer as quickly as you possibly can because that's your best chance of getting it as close to the listing price as possible. So you're better off starting at a more reasonable price, bringing people in the door, getting a higher number of traffic, generating interest and excitement, and that will bring more potential offers. It'll get people's emotion involved. Buyer emotion is a powerful thing. People love a property. What they'll pay for it starts to go up. If they're not excited because there's nobody there or it's been on the market, now your excitement level goes down, which means the offer goes down. The second huge mistake that I see home sellers making right now is their unwillingness to negotiate. Now, granted, the last couple of years, it's been easy peasy. You just put a house on the market and somebody will come to the door and it's full cash and no home inspection, and the buyers don't ask for anything because there's 14 buyers lined up right behind them if they decide they don't want to buy the house anymore. Well, those days are gone. That ship has sailed. And nowadays, a good qualified buyer is worth fighting for. It's worth giving for. And one of those things is if they make reasonable requests. Now, reasonable requests would be they have a home inspection and one of the outlets is burned and melted. Not a super expensive fix. Get her done. Take care of it. Better yet, take care of it before you put the house on the market. But more on that later. Or the house comes on the market. It's a fair price. Buyers come through. You have showings and you have one offer in the first 2 weeks. But it's a decent offer. Maybe it's at asking. Maybe it's slightly below asking, but you don't have any other offers in 2 weeks. You need to negotiate with that buyer. If the buyer has good credentials, if the financing is good and the terms are good, it doesn't have to be cash. It doesn't have to be home inspection waived. Again, your agent will guide you on that. But if it's a strong offer in all other aspects, it's worth giving a little. Because if you don't, the consequence of that house being on the market for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're going to be looking at it. And I've seen it firsthand where a home seller will backpedal and say, I wish I took that first offer. Because now they're looking at price reductions and they're going to end up selling that house for less than they would have if they accepted that first offer that maybe wasn't exactly the perfect offer. But if they were just give a little, just be willing to negotiate, then they would have had the deal done and they would have ended up with more money in their pocket. Now, knowing the right offer is definitely going to be a conversation with your agent. The right offer is not cut and dry. It's not about best price. It's not about best terms. It's not about whether it has a home inspection or not. It's a combination of all the three and how it pertains to your situation. You know, if you're in a situation where the most important thing is that you have time to go find another house, well, if you get an offer that someone says, I will give you 6 months to go look for a house, you can stay in this house, but we're going to ask you to accept an offer that's a little less than asking, that offer is a great offer. But if you have someone that is, cash offer and, no home inspection and out in 30 days and you need time to go buy a house, it's not a great offer. So it all depends on your situation. Are the things that you need on your offer? What's the most important thing that is for you? Your agent should be asking. If your agent isn't asking, you need to find another agent. What are the things that are important to you when you're selling? What are the things that agent needs to know when they're negotiating for you on your behalf? Now, I just wanted to take a quick second to let you know that I am connected to thousands of real estate agents across the country. I have built relationships with these agents over the last 25 years, and so I'm connected with the ones that are the best in the industry. So if you are thinking about selling or buying or know someone that is thinking about moving, click the link down below in the description box. There'll be a short form to fill out. I'll get in touch with you and connect you with one of the top agents in the country that will take great care of you. Now, the third thing is selling it without staging. Now, I do believe in staging. I do believe in buyers buy emotionally first, logically second. It's just the way it is. Even the engineers types, maybe the extreme come in with the clipboard and the checklist and the whole 9 yards. But the reality of it is the decision maker, whoever that decision maker is in the household, they come into the house if you feel right, if the house feels right. And if you remember back when you bought your house, I'm sure you had somewhat of that feeling of this. Yes, it does check the boxes, but it feels right. If you can't spark that emotion in a buyer, you're sunk, which means you've got to do some sort of staging. Now, staging might be take everything off the fridge, clean the windows, clear stuff off the countertops, get all your stuff off the kitchen table, put all your stuff off of your tables in the living room and in your bedroom. Put your personal stuff away, get it out of there, because the buyers don't want to see it. And it just makes it distracting for people to come into the house. Now, there are different ways. If you have a house that is vacant, I have a great company that I use for virtual staging. So if I have a vacant property, I will do that so it doesn't appear as a vacant property online. But if you are still living in the house, yes, I may, suggest that you get rid of some furniture, put some stuff in storage, putting that stuff away, minimize the amount of furniture. I always tell people, you got to have 3, 4 feet in all directions walking through the house. If you have a living room and you're like walking through the living room like this, it's not going to make the buyers feel comfortable. So staging is crucial. Now, the fourth thing is repairs and maintenance. A lot of home sellers nowadays, they just don't do it. It's something that, oh, we'll get to it. We're too busy. They don't realize, they don't think about it. And then they have a home inspector come into the house and they do a home inspection, and the sellers are just taken back. They're like, I didn't realize that this needed to be done or that needed to be done. Or what's worse is that, say, for example, I just had this recently, my garage doors, the hinges, you should lubricate those every year, wheels and everything else, put some silicone spray on them. And if you don't, over time, they start to squeak and grind and make noises, and it wears and creates wear and tear on all those moving mechanisms. You could have a home inspector come in, say you didn't do it, and a home inspector comes in, looks at those garage doors. The home inspector is going to say to the buyers, these garage doors have not been maintained. You're probably going to end up replacing them. Now you've gone from spending $5 on a can of silicone spray to giving a buyer potentially a credit for $5,000 because they think they're going to have to replace the garage doors in the near future. Now, the last thing I'll just touch on is choosing the right agent. And I kind of mentioned it earlier in the video about relying on your agent for proper pricing and relying on your agent for advice on staging and getting the house ready. And hopefully your agent will walk through and give you ideas and suggestions on repairs or things that you should have looked at, in anticipation of buyers coming through the house. And what I've seen a lot, especially when the market is really hot, is people are getting into this business. They think it's easy. It is not easy, which is the reason why a lot of people are getting out of this business right now. And a lot of mistakes I see people make is they're making their decision on who they work with based solely on, my friend's uncle's brother's wife is a real estate agent. Oh, she just started, selling a couple years ago, or maybe she's been selling a long time, but she hasn't sold a house yet this year, but she's had her license for over 30 years. I would be wary. I always say, A, get a referral. If you can't get a referral, you need to make sure you do your homework. Nowadays, you can go online, do some background check online, see how many transactions they've done, how many reviews they have online. And even then, even though I get a referral, I would recommend getting a referral, I still say interview at least 2 to 3 agents. It doesn't hurt to get multiple opinions on selling your largest asset. You got to do your homework and just ask around. And then if you have, meet with agent 1 and agent 2 says, oh, we can sell it for this price. Now you can say, well, why? This other agent said we would sell it at $450, but you're saying we can sell it at $500? Like, how do you back that up? And if they can't give you an answer, that is the red flag. That's like, hello, look out. They're probably just trying to buy your listing. And buying your listing in real estate speak means with the agents that are out there now, and the truth of the matter is a lot of agents are starving right now because the market is slow. The agents that don't have a big book of business, that don't have a big client base, they're struggling, and they will tell you anything that you want to hear to get your business. And that is not the person you want to work with. You want somebody who's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Now, as a bonus, if you are thinking about selling your house and you want to know what can you do to get your house ready so that you can put as much money in your pocket as possible, there is a form that you're going to want to fill out to get a free home enhancement checklist. This checklist is going to go over every detail. It is the checklist that I provide my clients to go through to get the house ready. Everything from cleaning your windows to proper staging, the whole 9 yards. You fill out the form. It'll be in the description below, and that will automatically be sent to your inbox. No obligation, no sales calls. I'm not going to bug you. You just enjoy the checklist. Hopefully you find it useful, and you let me know if you have any questions. Now, if you have an interesting story about when you sold your house and maybe made a few mistakes along the way, I would love to hear about it. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what your story is, either good or bad. It would be interesting to learn from these experiences in our community. And stay tuned. The market over the next couple of years is going to be a little bumpy, and I will keep you posted with more updates on that coming in the near future.